Howdy, Earthlings. When I was a kid and you asked someone what their hobbies were, they'd have a very clear answer, like, I'm a gamer. I like reading. Or maybe they're a cinephile or audiophile. And now when you ask someone what their hobby is, they don't have an answer. That or they describe something that isn't a hobby. They talk about how they hoard, or talk about something that might be a hobby if they didn't treat it like it was a job. That might seem harsh, but by definition, a hobby is something you do in your free time for your own pleasure. By definition, I believe you can't do it as a job. Not everyone will agree with that, but I think people can agree that too many of us try to monetize our hobbies, and that quickly makes them into not hobbies. Not just by definition, but by us turning play into work and then burning ourselves out on it. For me, my hobby was gaming. As a kid, at least. I'd collect games, sure, but everything I owned I played at least once. Now, as an adult, I have many games in my collection that I've never played. Gaming might be something I consider a hobby now, but I have more that I haven't played than I have played. I'm not collecting. I'm hoarding. Currently, this I might still consider a hobby. I haven't monetized it or turned gaming into a business, and I haven't really tried to all that much. Every time I've gamed on YouTube, it was always with the intent to share my interest, and my interest with others on the net. I find a weird game, and I want to share it with people. Maybe 10 plus years ago, I was trying to be a Let's Player, but I gave up on that pretty quickly. Now, when I share a game, it's because I genuinely want to share my interests, experiences, and the questions I want answers to with people on the net. If I got a check for this, I don't think it would change. Journaling was a hobby that I picked up pretty recently, except I also did it when I was a kid, but that was back when it was called, writing a diary. I did this for mental health reasons. I have horrible memory issues. I don't necessarily consider that a hobby on its own, but now I do as I'm working on a journal as a creative experience, kind of like scrapbooking. I'm again taking my hobby of gaming and logging it for a year and then sharing a bit and stashing it away. It's something I do for me, for my pleasure. If someone asked me what my hobby was right now, I could answer several things. I retro game, I journal, I game in general, and that's kind of it. So right now the only thing I can guarantee is 100% a real hobby by my own definition, and the internet's definition, is journaling. A fun creative process that I do for my own enjoyment. So yeah, let's talk a bit about hobbies, and why they died. Hobby versus hustle. By definition, when you try to do a hobby as a job, it is no longer a hobby, but definitions suck and words change over time. I believe you can do something for your own enjoyment and monetize it and it still be a hobby. Videos, live streams, posts, and pics are all forms of journaling things digitally. It's not really on the same level as creative physical journaling because there's a science behind why these are completely different because of how they impact your brain. Writing things by hand ensures you remember them, and having a journal is good for expression and mental health. It encourages honesty and growth. Online journaling is kind of the opposite, but I'll count it. As long as you can say, I make content from my hobby because I enjoy my hobby and I want to share it, then it's still a hobby. But if you have a bad post and it demotivates you to do that hobby, then it's probably not a hobby, it's work. Do you actually post about your hobby because you enjoy your hobby, or do you do it because it makes you money? It's fine if your hobby is turned into a job, it's probably just not a hobby anymore. I'm not going to give you crap for doing what you gotta do to pay your bills, just trying to get us to be honest with ourselves because the online world rewards fakeness. Let's say that tomorrow, your hobby posting never sees another view again. Would you still post it? Or would you move on to something else? Would you still do the hobby? If my retro gaming stuff never saw another view, I would still play my games and get new ones. If you ever picked a hobby just because you thought, I can also make money from this, then I'd be willing to debate if you were ever doing it for your enjoyment in the first place. A hobby is about fun, whimsy, and an escape from the day-to-day grind. Your granddad didn't build a model city and trains in the basement because he thought he'd make money from it. He found that process helpful for keeping sane. He'd work hard, come home, relax by painting miniatures, models, assembling cities, and playing with the set. This was his Zen garden. This was meditation. This was just for him. Do you genuinely have anything like that? Do you create for the sake of creation, or do you create because if you didn't, you wouldn't pay your bills? There are people who make money with their hobby and seriously enjoy it, but they never started it with the intent to make money. That's why it succeeded in the first place, because they have a passion for it, and people can tell when you have a passion for things. Do you have a passion for your thing, or do you do it because of the necessity or because it gets people looking at you? You can easily tell which people are doing it for the love of doing it because it comes through in their work. One thing I'd say you really have to look out for is something called monetizing the learning process. You might not know much or anything about something, but you research about it a lot. You ADHD people out there know what I'm talking about. So you make videos or posts about it in hopes of making money from that process while also funding the hobby itself. I did this a lot. When you're in the learning process, years. You don't know crap about anything. You're trying to make yourself out to be an expert while knowing nothing. This is peak Dunning-Kruger. People can spot this. Also, it'll lock you into an obligation, and that will often ruin the fun of it before you even get a chance to have fun with the hobby. Hobby versus overconsumption. Collecting can be seen as a hobby, but as a lot of retro gaming collectors are realizing nowadays, a lot of us are just hoarders. How many times have you bought something just because you didn't have it? Did you actually want that, or did you just want to fill out more space in your home? I understand it. In an age where everything is going digital, we own less and less, so the urge to hoard grows, to have something we actually own, a legacy to leave behind when you're gone. But some of this stuff isn't a legacy. A lot of it is just a bunch of garbage your kids and loved ones are going to have to be burdened with when you croak. For gamers who collect, hi, I'm just like you. I bought games because they fill up my shelf. I bought games that I will never play. The quantity of the collection mattered more to me than the quality. I wanted to collect every Wii U game. I hate the Wii U. I was doing it because the library is small. I'll buy things just because they're on sale, and I could easily cut my collection in half and still feel just as satisfied with it. I bought a broken Game Gear and an Atari with 40 games because I didn't have those. I have no attachment to either of those systems. I never played any of those before I got them. I still don't play either of them unless I want to scare children with what gaming used to be like. Last time I played my Atari, I pulled it out and put it into my CRT to test my CRT, and then we played Yar's Revenge for like 3 hours. Personally, I am hoarding, and you might be too. We both remember a day when gaming was better and our lives were simpler, but filling that void with plastic crap we'll never play won't ever work. Don't buy stuff unless you'll actually play it. The people we see on YouTube like Metal Jesus Rocks and Beat 'em Ups, those dudes have a job, not a hobby. They will both die long before they ever play every game they've ever bought, and they definitely own things that they have no interest in. I'm not talking crap about them. I'm sure Metal Jesus and Beat 'em Ups enjoy their collections greatly, but they both definitely do it as a job. Your collection should say something about you. It should be a collection of the hits. For me, it needs to say, "This is Sarah." I want you to look at my games and be able to understand what kind of person I am. This is why I journal too. When I'm dead, there will be a book that someone will see. Maybe they'll read it, maybe they won't. Maybe then they'll be inspired to create a journal too. They might see it, read it, and go, "Wow, this person had a fulfilling and interesting life. They did such cool things, and I want that for me too." Since making this channel, I hear near weekly about how I've gone on to inspire someone to create something. I love hearing that junk. I'm making the world awesome by talking into a mic in the dustiest room on the planet, changing the world with my voice, and that rules. I do that junk for free. I almost do that junk for free right now. I don't get a lot of views. I think many of us have a tendency to use the guise of a hobby as an excuse for overconsumption. The distinction between hobby and hoarding is action and acting on it. The process of collecting can be a hobby. It's totally awesome to go on road trips to faraway game stores and browse selections, then bring something cool back. Getting in a lot, then seeing all the cool little things inside. I had so much fun shopping for my Wonder Swan, and then when it came in, I had fun repairing it. It can be hard to draw the line with collecting, but I think if you involve yourself in the process and you find that process a joy, then it's a hobby. But if you can look at a game on your shelf and you don't have a single memory with it, then you need to be willing to create a memory with it and act on it, or get rid of it. Don't think this applies to just gamers. Book folks, this applies to you too. I can say reading Junji Ito or manga is a hobby for me. Everything I buy, I read, and I make an effort to get more Junji Ito manga when I can. The moment it is in my home, I read it and I will finish it, sometimes in one sitting. But some of you hoard books without ever reading a single page. I think it's because collecting is more of a sign of status. Even having a hobby is a sign of a status these days. You have the time to enjoy something for the fun of it? Are you rich or something? Collecting is a sign of status. It's showing people you have enough expendable income that you can have more of something than you'll ever be able to interact with. Cool, you have every version of Fourth Wing, but have you ever read more than the synopsis on the back cover? Can you even call yourself a fan of that series in this case? No, you're a hoarder too. Why do you own media that you don't even interact with? That just doesn't make sense. Like, dudes, why are you buying game key cards or boxes with digital codes? There isn't in that box. It's empty. So in summary, collecting is a hobby, but it's not really that simple. Collecting as a hobby is about intention, interactions, and improving the collection. Don't buy what you won't interact with. Seek out additions with intent. Never buy just because you don't have it. And refine that collection through a curation process. Remove things you don't interact with, or at the least, don't buy multiple of the same thing. Most importantly, do it because it brings you joy, not just because it fills a void in your heart or on your shelf. You're not a cinephile. Yep, everyone's catching a bullet today. You're not a cinephile because you watch Netflix all day. Overconsumption isn't a hobby either. If you consume so much that you can't even remember anything from what you consume, then you may as well not have watched it in the first place. Overconsumption can very easily be a casual experience. A hobbyist is someone who experiences a thing to a higher degree than the average person. If you're putting on a movie on your second screen as background noise, this is overconsumption. You are not giving that media your full attention. Sometimes overconsumption is also just the worst way to experience media. Maybe you can recall all the movies you watched or the music you listened to, but you haven't seen or heard the real thing. Streaming services are getting worse and worse with their quality with every year in order to increase profit margins. Spotify plays audio at 320 kilobytes. A CD is 5 times the audio quality. And a record? You may as well have the band playing in front of you if it's a quality press. Movie and TV people. Watch Netflix and pay attention to the dark parts and you'll see all those little pixels. That's called artifacting. That's from a low bit rate. VHS is better video quality than Netflix is now. Sure, consuming more than the average person can make you a hobbyist. Like Hideo Kojima, one of his favorite hobbies is watching movies. He makes a conscious effort to watch a movie every single day before he goes to bed. But I think a real hobbyist would want to enjoy their movies in better ways than the worst quality available. I don't consider myself an audiophile, but you also couldn't pay me to use Spotify. I listen to my favorite bands on a record player with real records. I couldn't call myself an audiophile because I don't know a damn thing about how audio works or even how to identify good headphones. This is just a player for me. How much and how you experience are both part of the hobby. I think if you pull out your phone or play games or do anything but watch the media while it's on, immediately disqualifies it from being a hobby. You can't even give the media your full attention. If you can't summarize the movie you watched, then you didn't watch it. Resellers aren't hobbyists, they're predators. I don't think this really even needs explaining. I think most people just understand this now. If you're buying something with the intent to create scarcity and sell it back for more than it was bought for, then you're a predator. You're preying on people who actually enjoy the hobby. You're making the hobby harder for everyone else to participate in. No one in the hobby views you as a true participant in this hobby and would be happier if you never bought another product again. You predate on people who actually enjoy the hobby. You do not consume, you take advantage of people. If you buy things to create scarcity and resell it with no intent to actually participate in the hobby, you're a bad person. It's just that simple. You suck, get a real job. Cringe and sucking. A lot of people don't participate in hobbies because of cringe culture. People aren't willing to accept being bad at something and still doing it because you enjoy the process. You liked drawing as a little kid. You didn't care that you sucked at it. You enjoyed doing it. As a kid, drawing was one of your hobbies. But as an adult, you become overly critical. You don't allow yourself to fail. You don't allow yourself to get better. You're scared of being bad at something and even more scared of sharing it with someone. I'm a YouTuber, you know that. Every day I'm creating something. Creation is inherently a vulnerable act. You cannot create without sharing a piece of yourself, and that's scary. What if this piece of yourself is rejected by others? That can hurt. But by creating anything at all, you are better than everyone who doesn't let themselves create because they're scared of being vulnerable. When you create, you instantly put yourself in the top 1% of people because most of us never even start our projects, let alone actually finish them. To create is to expose yourself to the world, and that takes bravery and is definitely not for the weak. Even more so when you add on that cringe culture counts anyone enjoying something not mainstream as cringe. I'm guilty of this too. I do wince a little when I see someone talk about hell of a hotel or has-been boss stuff. But if I was free from cringe, my office would be floor-to-ceiling garden gnomes because these little dudes are just so fucking cool. I think people are scared that they'll share a piece of themselves with the world and it will be rejected. Since humans are social creatures, being labeled as cringe means being labeled as bad or not normal. I've been not normal my whole life, and that's just something you learn to live with. You should do things because you enjoy them, not because your friends or peers find it socially acceptable. There will always be people who think your thing is cool even if you suck at it. I'm not great at drawing, and because of that, I don't enjoy the process. But I've had fun with the doodles in my journal. I think in part that's because I don't share it. I draw a lot. I just don't share it unless I think it's good enough, and I think that's doing you more harm than good. Some might say like sharing your stuff, it might make it, not a hobby, but I think just refusing to finish something because you sucked at it, I think that's the harm that's being caused here, not the not sharing it part. Just refusing to finish it because you don't think it's good. Don't abandon something because you think you suck at it if you actually enjoy doing it. There's a saying, the master has failed more than the student has tried. Cringe culture is just that. It's culture. It's made up. I'm non-binary. If I cared about social constructs, I want to be non-binary. So embrace the cringe because at the end of the day, you're the one who lives with it. They're just visiting, and now you know to never invite them over again. Do not kill your cringe. Kill the part of you that cringes. It's okay to suck at something. It's the enjoyment of the process that matters. Insisting you need to be good immediately is just so unrealistic. Aaron Game Grumps said something once.
Do you think I came out the pussy drawing Mozart?
It's pretty irrational to expect to be good at anything your first try. Everything has a skill associated with it that needs to be learned and refined over time. There are techniques, and sure, natural talent can play a factor, but a lot of it is skill that's learned. Imagine if you applied that to everything since you were born. You wouldn't have learned how to pour water into a glass. You wouldn't have learned how to feed yourself. You wouldn't have learned how to use a toilet because you would have given up because you weren't good at it the first try. You're giving up before you even started. You go in losing. You go in having given up. You have to be perfect at everything you do? I don't think you're actually perfect at anything you do. Social media lies to you. I've said this sort of a few times throughout this video, but it's true. Basically, social media is porn. It elevates the extremes and only shows you the final product. It doesn't show you the work and time it took to get there. It's showing you only the people who I've thus far have been pretty unkind to. People enjoying the media gets less attention than people who show off their hoarding. It glamorizes consumerism. Everything about social media is sensationalists. It's everything dialed up to the extreme. It's a lie, a facade. None of this is real. This isn't real enjoyment. It's a crow filling its nest with shiny garbage. AI is even worse about this. AI isn't good at anything. It's copying and stealing others' work and labeling as its own. Half the time it even sucks at doing that. You are not a machine, and you do not need to be an extreme. Existing in enjoyment is enough, and is the only requirement you need to worry about. That's something that AI can't do. It can't enjoy the process. Not all hobbies are expensive. Some people don't have hobbies because they insist that hobbies are too expensive. Maybe the specific ones you want to get into, but a lot of the best hobbies are ones you never think of trying. I got into Doro Dango earlier this year, and this is like one of the cheapest hobbies you can do. You only need dirt, sand, a little clay, your hands, some cloth of different roughness, and a little bit of like fiber like hay or something. This can be done entirely for free, if you know where to look, or at the least just under 20 bucks. You pack dirt, sand, and some hay into a ball, dry it out, cover it in clay powder, then polish it with your bare hands and cloth until it shines. Makes a pretty neat ball. Drawing is practically free too. I bet you have a pencil, pen, and paper in your house. Coloring books are cheap. If you don't mind spending just a little bit, you can get an e-reader and sign up with your library for free ebooks. Screw that, just go to the library and rent books. It's free. Some libraries like mine even stock the latest games, movies, and TV, as well as the equipment to use them. Origami only needs paper. You can make furniture from cardboard with glue made from flour and water. Seriously, I saw a video where a dude made furniture out of cardboard that's just as strong as wood. That would be a cool hobby. And cardboard is just actually given away for free. You can go to the dumpster behind many stores and they are perfectly fine with you taking their cardboard. Even making YouTube videos can be done for free. OBS is free recording software. DaVinci Resolve is a free editing program. You probably already have a mic or webcam from Zoom calls from the pandemic. My YouTube could be considered a hobby. I don't make enough to pay any bills, and I just like talking to the camera when an idea actually hits. Hobbies don't have to be expensive, but if one is too expensive, then just try a different one. It's better to have a hobby at all than not having one. It's good for your mental health to just have something constructive to do when you're not working, something that isn't work. How to have a hobby again. First, you need to unlearn some social conditioning that you've experienced. You need to shed the fears of being bad and cringe, or at least learn to enjoy it in spite of sucking. Stop comparing yourself to others. You aren't others. Also, those others, they started at sucking. They weren't good from the beginning. The next time you start a hobby, remember starting puts you in the top 1% and finishing puts you in the 1% of that 1%. You are better than the vast majority of other people simply by starting the project, and then even more so by finishing it. Even if you suck at it, it's still uniquely you. Only you could do it this way, and the world is better for your creation being in it. Remember that creating is a process and a skill, and it takes time. My Doro Dango. I made this because I thought it'd be fun. It was. It's something that can be done for free. Basically, this ball started as dirt, sand, and clay. I took the dirt, sifted it down to just the dirt without the clumps. I packed it tight like a snowball with sand and hay. I dried it out a bit, then took clay and dried it out further. Then took clay and dried it out, ground it into a powder by hand with mortar and pestle. I sprinkled the powder on it, layer by layer, smoothing it out as I went. Then I dried it out a bit again. Finally, I smoothed it out with my hands in various different rags, getting finer and finer as I went, until it was a smooth, shiny ball. This was once all dirt, but the process is many, many steps, and each has a technique, and together they make the Doro Dango. It's not the best one ever, but its imperfections reflect my technique and skill level. It's not perfect, but it actually is. It's as perfect as this one can be. The next one will be better, but it will be equally as perfect as the last. You're not going to be good at it immediately, and that's okay. You need to trust the process, not just the process of creating, but refining and improving. My Dorodango didn't look like this overnight. It took a week, and an attempt at a smaller one. You will not be good at this overnight either, but each creation made is you using a finer and finer rag, polishing yourself until you shine. Next hobby you try, don't think about whether you can make money from it. Don't think about it making interesting posts or anything like that. Do it because you think it'll be fun. Dorodango are worth a lot of money. I can make $100 a ball if I wanted to, but I do it because the process is like meditation. I enjoy doing it. And you can bet that once the dirt isn't frozen over anymore, I'll make another one. Just do it because you want to, and it's fun or cathartic, not because you might make money with it. It's okay if you do one day, but that shouldn't be your goal from the start. Now go out and enjoy something. Do it for the sake of whimsy and sparking joy in your life. I'm gonna go back to playing games and get to work on filling out my journal. I beat 100 games last year, so I need to do it again. Maybe I'll figure out how to bring my dirt, sand, and clay inside so I can make a Dorodango in the winter. Either way, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider becoming a patron on my Patreon or join members below the video. You'll get your name in the credits and read aloud, and the satisfaction of knowing that I'll likely be spending this money on my hobbies. If you want to learn more about any of my hobbies, just let me know. I'm not against sharing them. Thanks again to the supporters who make videos like this possible. People like Nebazit, Aspirin Artist, Paper, Fey Penguin, Momentary Unicorn, Aurora the Puppy Moth, Nat, Marius, Yini, Worm Syrup, Rask, Beef, Colorado Blue, Vaderson, Linky again, Willie P, TG Dante, who also made this background, Molding Brick, and Splackjack. I'll see y'all later. I'm going to go ask strangers what their hobbies are and listen to them say, for more than 10 seconds. Bye.